Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Leaders of the West. This would traditionally be a solo episode, how it falls in our calendar, but it is not a solo episode. Today, I am joined by Sarah Wilson, our Director of Marketing, and we are going to go over all of the details on a brand new offering and feature that Of the West is launching. Next week is when we start with this, but it'll be launching. We'll give you all the details. We'll give you the dates, everything that you guys have been wanting to know about the directory. So, Sarah, thank you. I'm excited to have you and finally get to talk about this and share it with people because we've been working so long behind the scenes. So now it feels like we get to share it with the world.
Yes, I am so excited to join you today and talk about this labor of love that we've been keeping a secret for so long, it seems.
For those of you who are wondering, okay, I'm not sure what they're talking about, let's get right to it. So this is the directory or directory of the West, as you'll probably hear it both ways. So what this is a directory for creatives, where if you are looking for somebody who is a photographer or a web designer or a videographer or a journalist for a project, you can go find them. So maybe you're not necessarily looking to hire somebody full-time or part-time, which is obviously how Of the West is used. You can still hire contract or project-based people through Of the West, but we have traditionally found that that's not something that people tend to do. They would rather not post a job listing and they would rather just approach people for projects, which makes sense. Honestly, I kind of see it the same way. So that is what the directory will be. It'll be a place where you can go search for specific creatives. And we're going to get to all of the details. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that we've had this feature before. So when we first launched Of the West in 2021, we had Jobs of the West, which was the job side that everybody knows. And then we also had Trades of the West, which was what is now the directory. So Trades of the West, we had welders, we had bookkeepers, we had farriers. There was a variety of different listings. Again, all built around the idea of these are people and businesses that offer a service. So you're still looking for them, but they're not necessarily looking to be employed full-time or part-time for somebody. So they're not going to apply to a job listing, but they may be the best person to help you with your project or fill the need that you're looking for. So the problem, though, with that trade section of the site is based on how our website was built, we had a WordPress site, and then for the job side of things, we had to have a special plugin. And then for the trade side of the site, we also had to have a special plugin. And those two didn't necessarily communicate very well together. And it was kind of like a little Frankenstein, if you will. And so one of the things that went wrong there is the search feature. I'll just say it absolutely sucked to the point where it almost made the directory aspect of trades like unusable in my mind, although I am probably a tougher critic than most, but it just didn't have the search functionality that I wanted or felt like was helpful to those looking or those needing to be found. So we have the trade side of the platform up for like 6 months, 7 months? I think we took it down in July of 2021. So, and we have always had the intention of taking the trade side down and rebuilding it. But we knew when we wanted to rebuild it that we had to do so with a custom site. So now that we have launched our new site, which we launched back in October, we have had the ability to then build this new directory alongside it. And I am so excited because not only is it going to be incredibly user-friendly, it's also going to be really visually appealing because we know that a lot of the creatives whose businesses will be listed in here need to have a really eye-catching, eye-appealing aspect to them. So I am just so excited that we finally get to share and spill the details.
I know this is so exciting. And I think when we think back to 2021, I was pretty fresh on the team when we decided to get rid of, or not get rid of, but to take the Trades of the West off the site. And, we were still trying to get the jobs side of the site off and running and really get that, running like a well-oiled machine. And now we've done that. So I think it's the perfect time to bring on the directory, and also the perfect time because I feel like this is something that our industry needs so much.
Oh, I know. I cannot get on Facebook without seeing hey, I'm looking for somebody to build my website. Do you know who? Or I'm looking for somebody to redo a logo. Or just this morning, I got a text. Hey, I'm looking for a new person to run our social media accounts. Do you know somebody? And again, like I said earlier, when people are looking for more of that position that maybe is, 5-10 hours a week, they don't necessarily want to go through the process of a traditional job posting, which I understand. You kind of want to approach somebody and say, hey, do you have time to take on this project? And then obviously that's kind of how you start things there. But I do want to go back a little bit to the first time that I had ever really thought of the idea of the Trades or directory of the West. And this is going to date me a while because it was back when I worked for Idaho Cattle Association. I was right out of college. So what was that? 12 years ago? Was it? Yeah, probably 12 years ago. And I was tasked with building a proud member of the Idaho Cattle Association sign that members could hang in their businesses. So it wasn't necessarily meant for ranchers, but it was meant for those allied members or partners who had farm stores, feed stores, restaurants. They wanted to be members. They wanted to support Idaho's cattle industry, but they weren't really ranchers. And so I found a graphic designer in Boise, and I found a company that could make this metal sign that a business could hang up. And I told our designer that it needed to say proud member of the Idaho Cattle Association, and it needed to have a cow on it. I went wrong there because those were the only instructions I gave her. And when she gave me back my first draft, it had a Holstein on it, which there's nothing wrong with a Holstein. And I love a good dairy animal. But when you are a organization who is serving beef, cattle, ranchers, right? Like Angus, Red Angus, Simmental, like all of those breeds, a Holstein is not the animal that they identify with whatsoever. And so I told her, hey, that cow's not going to work. We need a different cow. And it came back with a Highlander. And then it came back with a Longhorn. And we went round after round of revisions trying to get the right bovine on this sign. And not only did it take us a pile of time, but every time you have a revision with a designer, understandably so, they charge you for that. So we were in this sign a pile of time, plenty of money. And I just remember thinking, Google did me wrong here. Because I had Googled graphic designers in Boise, Idaho, because I thought I needed somebody local. And that was back when you kind of did more business locally. I mean, the internet was a thing, but not to where it is now, where you feel comfortable working with designers like states away. But I remember at the time thinking, man, I wish that I would have been able to go to a place where I could find graphic designers who had experience in the ag industry, who would have known when I said this sign needs a cow and these words, they would have instantly known what cow I was talking about, which I do understand. I absolutely should have given more direction, but there's just something about the inherent knowledge and experience that somebody has when they have been around our industry that can be really, really advantageous when it comes to those types of projects. And so that is, really, had I known then that 12 years later, we would actually be building this, joke's on me, right? But here we are. And that is really like who the directory is going to help and how it is going to just continue to really fulfill our mission in being a connection point for people.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the amount of listeners right now that have probably been in those shoes before. I know I've been there. So hopefully this will solve that problem and give you people to work with that have that industry knowledge, and not people that have to come from the industry or have grown up in the industry. I think we're a company that we are very welcoming to newcomers, and we even, want people that didn't grow up in the industry to join our industry. So it's not just going to be a place for that, but maybe those people that have worked, or have some sort of knowledge.
No, I completely agree. I was just talking to a photographer a couple of weeks ago, and she does amazing work in the Western industry. But this isn't the industry that she really made her mark in. She is much more of like an outdoor skiing, snowboarding, fly fishing type of photographer. So obviously she understands the outdoors. She understands animals. And now her leaning into the Western lifestyle, she's incredibly talented and she does great work, but she just doesn't have the network to get herself out there as a Western lifestyle photographer. All of her connections and network are on the outdoors and wildlife side of things. So if you're listening to this and you're creative and you're like, oh, that's me, then the directory is going to be your new BFF. There is no doubt about it. So I know we have kind of kept this under our hats a little bit. We haven't talked a whole lot about the directory, mainly because we've been working so hard on the details. We really pride ourselves in launching things that are built correctly. Because again, we've launched things in the past that haven't been built correctly. And then that ends up with a lot of customer service. And we don't like to disappoint people. And we want to provide a great user experience for people. So we've been a little bit quiet when it comes to the launching of details, just because we really wanted to have all of the answers ready to go for you so that we can answer all of the questions that people have. So we're going to do that today. But I'm going to get the first questions out of the way. So this is February 6th. If you're listening to this the day it launches, or the week of February 6th, if you're listening to this, the week that this episode has launched. So on February 13th, next Tuesday, the directory is going to start onboarding creatives. And we're going to onboard creatives for a week as what we're going to call a pre-launch. And then on February 20th, the directory is going to launch to the public. So that's when everybody can use the directory to search for those creatives who have listed their profiles on the platform. But for the first week from February 13th to the 19th, we are going to be onboarding people. And you can absolutely join after that onboarding process. We just want to make sure that when people go to the directory on that first day, if they are looking for somebody, that we have a directory that's populated and ready for them to search and use correctly. It's one of those things like what came first, the chicken or the egg. If you want to get people to use something, you have to have something there for them to use. But if you want something there for them to use, you have to have people there. So we're going to get the thing that you guys can use, those creative profiles. We're going to onboard those for 6 days ahead of the launch on February 20th. Okay, so Sarah, let's go over some questions that we've gotten from people in whether that's on social media or emails, in our conversations, because obviously we know there's a lot of them. And the first one that I feel like I've gotten the most is, who is the directory for? What types of services are going to be listed? Obviously, that's the biggest question. So let's answer that one first. In the beginning, so we'll call this phase 1, we are going to focus on photographers, videographers, graphic designers, artists, so like fine art, web designers and web developers, marketing professionals and agencies, social media managers, public relations, journalists, podcast editors and managers, event planners, event speakers, and voice talent. And the reason that we're going to start with those is because we feel like that is a very cohesive set of people. Those are the skills that we get asked for the most. Hey, do you know a web designer? Hey, do you know somebody who can brand something for our business? We need somebody to take over our social media. And we also know that there are a number of those types of businesses in our industry. We will expand and add in additional categories in the future. Again, that'll be phase 2, but because we really like to do something and perfect it and then move on to the next thing, laying those brick by brick and really making sure that we have a steady foundation, we're going to start with those services first. So if you are what we'll call a solo entrepreneur and you have a business that's based in one of those areas of expertise, then this is the perfect spot for you. If you are somebody who you have a full-time job and you have a side hustle that is you as a graphic designer or, any of those areas of expertise, the directory is the perfect spot for you. And then if you work for a business or a company, or maybe you own a business or a company that we would consider to be, we're calling this an agency. And maybe you don't necessarily call yourself an agency, but basically you have multiple people on staff who focus in one of these areas of expertise. The directory is still a really good spot for you because we know that everybody has different times as far as their availability, how many projects they can take on at one time, how many different areas of expertise somebody needs. If there is a specific person who's looking for a graphic designer and they also need a journalist and they don't necessarily want to hire two different people, maybe they just want to work with one business who has both of those different people on staff, then everybody has a different need that they are looking for. And by having solo entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and those agency type businesses, then we are facilitating a way where everybody can still connect with who is the best person that they can serve and the best person to serve them. The other thing that we're really, really excited about is the search function and the filter function. So how it's going to work, let's pretend we're shopping right now and we're going to go, I don't care. In your mind, pull up your favorite boutique or retail store and you're searching for jeans. If you just type in women's jeans, you're probably going to get 300 different listings, right? But then you have the ability to filter and to sort by the rise and the inseam and maybe the wash. And as you select the things that you want, you're going to filter down and sort down to where maybe you only end up with 3 pairs of jeans out of 300. Those 3 pair of jeans are the ones that you want to add to your cart. So this is exactly how our search function is going to work. You're going to be able to search and filter because both of those are really important and they serve different needs. You'll be able to do that obviously by the expertise, which is kind of the broad term, right? So marketing, photographer, web designer. You'll also be able to do so by skill. So maybe you're looking for somebody who isn't just in marketing, they're in email marketing or text marketing. That is going to be another area that you can search and filter by. You'll also be able to do platforms that they work with. So if you're looking for a web designer who can build Shopify sites or WordPress sites, maybe you're looking for a graphic designer who works in a specific program. All of those things are going to be able to be found. Industry experience is another one because we know that just because you are a really great journalist on the farm side of things doesn't necessarily mean that you are a great journalist to write about Western sports. So we also want people to be able to search by industry experience. There's also going to be a rating system that you can sort by. So if you want somebody who has testimonials and 5 stars or 4 stars, 3 stars, you're probably not going to want to sort by 1 star, but maybe you are. Region and area served is another key search function that we're going to have because we know some things need to be done locally. Other things can be more like region or area based. And then there's some things that it doesn't matter where you are, you can still work with the right person, right? So if you're a photographer and you need to be in somebody's local area versus if you're looking for maybe somebody who would be willing to fly to where you are, obviously that's going to be based on your price. But yes, so there's going to be a ton of different search and filter functions, which are going to really make that search function, I would say 10 times better, but honestly, it's 1,000 times better than it was before. I am so excited about the new searchability.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with it being 1,000 times better.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yes, it was not great. And I don't like to say, we don't do great things, but that was one thing that it wasn't great, but this will be great. And I think too, something that to highlight is this is kind of for all experience types too, I guess you could say, because people with maybe they've just started this side hustle and they're 2 years into it, you can still get on the directory and there will be people probably that will want to be working with you. Or if you have 10 years and you've had your marketing agency for that long, I think that this will be a great, like we said, connection point for all different types of people looking for all different ranges of experiences and skills.
Yes. Well, and one topic that is going to be part of this phase 1 launch that I feel like we haven't really talked about much yet is event speakers. We know that if you work for any kind of industry association or commodity board, or if you put on events, you are always on the hunt for event speakers. And there's not a great place to go find those. So whether somebody is a panelist, whether they can be an MC, whether they are a keynote, you're going to be able to sort by all of that as well. And there's going to be a little bit of difference between different types of profiles. So what an event speaker profile looks like is not necessarily going to be what a photographer profile looks like. We're going to have some key differences, obviously, between those because those two things are obviously very different. So we're really excited to be building these profiles for people that really check all of the boxes that people need to not only to showcase themselves, but then to be found by those looking. But on the topic of profiles, they're going to be fully customizable and editable by you. So there's no work that needs to be done by myself or Sarah. You will go to the site, you'll create your profile. If you want to change it in 30 minutes, if you want to change it in 2 weeks, if you want to change it in a month, don't forget to not change it though. Like you have to be good about refreshing it every so often because you don't want to set it and forget it. Then your business can look a little haggard, if you will. But yes, you will be able to fully change everything. There's also going to be a portfolio section. So if you want to update your profile with some new work that you have done and showcase that in the portfolio section, you are more than welcome to. You have, the sky is the limit there, and it's all on you. What other questions have you gotten, Sarah?
Oh, man. Well, I will say something or add something to the profiles is we talk about this a lot on the job side of thing with employer profiles. So when job seekers are looking for jobs, oftentimes you're going to go and check out the employer who's posting that job and seeing what they're all about. And if that employer profile lacks the je ne sais quoi, shall we use that big word? If it lacks some of that aesthetic piece to it, then you're not going to be very interested in applying for that job. And so I think that really rolls over into the directory side of things for creatives to spend time on those profiles and really make them unique, showcase yourself, who you are, your talents. And I think that's just going to benefit all of the creatives in the long run, really taking time to make that profile theirs. It's like a dating profile. Find your match on the directory.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and that's one of those things too and I've seen this time and time again is like, if you're a creative and you think, man, I don't think that I've gotten any traffic from the directory on Of the West, first thing to do is check your profile to make sure that it has all of the updated information and that it looks like somebody's going to want to do business with you. Because oftentimes it's not a lack of traffic. It's just that you are not converting those eyes into your potential customers. So what are you doing? Because it is still your job, obviously, to be the conversion and to bring those people in to your business, right? To get them to, I don't want to say make the sale because that's more of a retail term, but to get them in. So definitely something to keep in mind. So let's talk about that because we just brought that up. How will creatives get paid for their services? And the answer to that question is however you currently get paid. We are not holding any transactions. You're not getting paid through us. We're going to be the connection point for somebody who is looking for the services that you have to find you. We will have a connect button basically that they click. When they're logged into the site, they're going to be able to connect with you and it's going to take them to wherever you want them to go. So whether that is a business phone number, an email, maybe you have a contact form on your website, however it is that you want people to connect with you, that's how they'll connect with you. And then because you're taking those connections off site, you're also taking all payment off site. So we have no involvement in that, which I am very excited about. So that is still all on you. And I think that that's what's going to work best, not only for the creatives, but then also for people who are looking for creatives.
Right. And I think it's great to keep that for creatives consistent to what they're already doing. So if you're already being paid via PayPal, QuickBooks, however that works, you're still going to be paid that same way. Same way with the communication piece. If you are having everyone fill out the contact form on your website, they're still going to do that. We're just, like Jessie has said, the connection point for y'all and your billboard for your business.
Yes. So yeah, that's exactly it. This is another place where you get to market yourself. And it's a place where people are already going to find these things, right? But that is one thing that I feel like I should address because I know I've gotten this question too. If you are somebody who is hiring for a full-time or a part-time creative role, then the directory doesn't necessarily replace how you're going to do that. So if you're hiring part-time or full-time, or even if you still want people to come to you versus you having to do the searching, you can still hire a contract or a freelancer through Of the West. We have that ability. We always have, and it's not going away anytime soon or ever, actually. But if you're somebody who's looking to hire somebody to really join your team, then you're going to use the jobs side of the site. But if you're looking for somebody who is more of a project basis or like 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, you kind of fit in with their schedule versus them fitting in with your schedule, then that is where the directory is going to come in. So you're still going to be able to do all of the above on either side of the site, but that is how that is going to work.
Right. We're trying to solve an issue that we're seeing everywhere, and it's just not being able to find these talented creatives that are out there, and they're everywhere. And, we just want to bring the two people together. So this is just another way of being able to connect these people.
And then I don't necessarily know that I shared this before, Sarah, that you mentioned it either, but you will also be able to see ratings and reviews as part of those profiles as well. So they'll have business name, all of the area of expertise, your skills, your industry experience, and then there's going to be a section for rating and reviews and your portfolio as well. They're going to be, like I said earlier, really user-friendly, very eye-appealing. I'm so excited. Which probably brings us, I feel like, obviously, the last question is, what is the pricing and how does it work? So, okay, everybody, if you're driving, pull over your car, write this down. No, I'm teasing. But I know math is kind of a tricky one if you're listening to this while you're driving. So don't necessarily feel the need to pull over by any means, but do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, one of those platforms. Make sure you're on our email list because we're going to email this out as well. You've probably already seen it on one of those or in your inbox by now, since we're a week out from launch. But if you purchase an annual subscription, it's going to be $299.88 a year, which would equal out to $24.99 a month, right? You're going to pay it annually, but if you're somebody who likes to know what you're paying monthly, it would be $24.99 a month. There's also going to be a monthly subscription, so you're going to pay that bi-monthly, and that's $34.99 a month. So at the end of the year, you save $120 by paying annually over paying monthly, which makes sense. But for the first week, we have some special pricing. So on February 13th, next Tuesday, for a limited window of time, you are going to be able to get an annual subscription for $99. And after that expires, there's going to be a coupon code associated with that. It's only available for a limited time. Make sure that you are signed up on our VIP list to find out all of that information because that's where we're going to launch those details. But you will be able to access it for $99 for a whole year. And then after that expires on February 13th, for the rest of the week until February 20th, annual pricing is going to be $199. So there's still a $100 discount if you were to join in the first week versus if you were to wait after February 20th and join with a traditional annual subscription that's $299. So limited time on February 13th, $99. February 14th to 20th is $199. And then after February 20th, $299, which is $24.99 a month. There are no deals on the monthly subscriptions, but there are obviously those big savings on the annual subscriptions. So that is how pricing works. What other questions, Sarah?
I don't know, but I will say the pricing is really exciting because if you really break it down, that annual price, it's almost the same as you kind of would make in like one project or one big special freelance contract. I mean, it pays for itself possibly with one connection that you can make on that. So I think that's exciting.
No, Sarah, you bring up a really good point. So even if you weren't able to cash in on one of those first week deals, so the $99 or the $199, if you paid $299 a year for Directory of the West, your listing there, I can't think of any one of our services, a photographer, videographer, any of those. I don't want to run the list, who offers a product that's less than $299. I can't really think of anybody. So with one client, you're able to offset that cost. And then anybody else who you get through the rest of the year is all profit.
Yeah, that's incredible. Incredible.
What other services did we not mention? I know, voice talent. If you're somebody who is looking for a commercial, maybe that you want, whether that is like obviously a TV commercial, or you're thinking something on the digital media side of things, I know that voice talent is something that a lot of people struggle to find. So that is something that you'll be able to, I can't imagine that's going to be wildly popular in the beginning, but I know a lot of people have that talent. And it's something that we have been asked for quite a bit as well. Podcast editors and managers, we're really excited about that one.
I think event speakers is a really exciting category in this because how many of us have been in the spot before where we need a speaker for an event and we have no idea. And we're calling up all of our friends. It's like a last minute thing, or we've only got a couple of weeks. We're calling up all of our business acquaintances, everyone trying to find one. This is going to be the best place to go there. They can talk about their, what their expertise is in, all of that stuff. I mean, I think the event speakers will be huge for the industry.
Oh, it is. I know both of us have been in that situation as far as working for an industry association and with hosting events multiple times a year, and you just sit there in your brainstorming session and this is going to be the perfect place to really get those ideas of people flowing and really get some great speakers in front of your members and your audiences. So I'm really looking forward to that service area as well. Gosh, well, I feel like we've covered it. Let me go back through though. So the week of February 6th, obviously that's when this podcast has aired. So next week, February 13th, we will start onboarding creatives. Make sure that you are signed up for the directory's interested list if you are a creative who wants your business listed, because you are going to be the first one to get the link to start joining. You're also going to be the first one to get in on that $99 annual subscription for $99 for a whole year. I should also add that is going to renew the following year at $199. So it is just a deal for this year, but still, that's a really, really good opportunity there. And then on February 20th, the directory is going to launch to where you can still join if you're a creative and you missed that first week window, but people will also be able to then start using the platform to search for people. So with that, anything else, Sarah, that you think that we didn't cover? Gosh, I feel like we've been here for forever chatting about this, but it's only because we've been doing this so long behind the scenes.
I know I was going to say, I feel like we've been talking about this forever, but again, a lot of work has gone into it behind the scenes. And I'm excited. I know Jessie is so excited to bring this all to not only the creatives for them to be able to grow their networks, but also the people that are needing these services. Woo! I'm excited. I feel like we should be singing like a song, but not yet. Maybe on launch day, we can do some celebrating.
No, I will say that. And then the other thing I guess I should add too, that's something it's important to us on the job side, if you are an employer or a job seeker, or on the creative side, if you're searching for creatives through the directory, and that is feedback. We absolutely welcome feedback. We want your feedback, good or bad. I mean, it's never necessarily fun to read if it's negative feedback, but I tell you what, that is the thing that makes you bigger and better and stronger. And we want to serve a need, and we want to fix problems, and we want to be a solution. And you can't do that if you're not willing for feedback. So if you are a creative and you think, man, I really wish that I could upload this, or I wish that it had an area for this, or I want to be able to list XYZ, send us an email. Tell us about it, because we want to know about it. If you're somebody who is searching and you think, man, I would love to be able to search by this or whatever it is, tell us. We want to hear about it, because that is how we are able to equip ourselves to build things that are bigger and better than ever before. That's how we've grown Of the West so much, and we're going to continue to grow the directory with that as well. So thank you guys for tuning in today and listening. We're so excited about the directory. Okay, Sarah, I'm kind of pulling this out of left field, but we're going to give away 1 annual subscription to the directory for one lucky creative out there who's listening to this episode. So if you're not a creative, make sure to share this episode with your friend who is, because they might get lucky. You've got to be following us on Instagram. So if you're not already, please make sure to go do that. And then you're going to tag us in a story. And I want you to tell us what your brand or business is going to benefit most from the directory, or how you think the industry is going to benefit most, or that you're just excited to list your business in the directory. But share that in stories. Make sure you're following Of the West. Tag Of the West in that story so that we see it. And then we are going to pick a lucky winner on February 19th. So you'll be in before the launch, if you will, to where people will be able to search the directory. But okay, I can't wait to see who's going to win.
Ooh, I'm excited. This is a good one, even though it was, a little last minute.
I love a good spontaneous surprise. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being here and listening to us, hanging out with us. We know that you have been waiting for the directory for quite a while, and I hope we answered all your questions and that you're even more excited about it than you were before we started this. And then, Sarah, I'm just so appreciative of you. You are an awesome director of marketing. I can't tell you the amount of messages from our listeners that I get that say how great our social is and how much they love our, emails and newsletters and whatever it is. And you guys, that is all Sarah Wilson. She is the queen of it all. She is absolutely fabulous. We are so lucky to have her. So thank you for that. And I am excited that we get to share this with you. So thank you guys for listening. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And with that, you guys know the drill. We'll see you back here next week.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.